If you'd met me a few years ago, you probably wouldn't recognize me. And this isn't because I was a terrible person. I wasn't addicted to hard drugs. I wasn't living on the street, but I was trapped. I was trapped by binge drinking alcohol. I was trapped by lust. I was trapped by comfort, trapped by my own mind. And literally every Monday would come round and I would promise myself that this week is gonna be different. This week I'm gonna make the change. And I never did. The week was never different. I kept living in these repetitive, damaging, looping patterns every single week. Now that I can look back on it and reflect, I can see it. And recently that led me to asking myself this question, which is, why is it that we know exactly what we should do? Really, deep down we know, but yet we keep doing the opposite. And that's what led me to creating this video. Because for me, I believe that I came to the conclusion that we're trying to fight a spiritual battle with human strength. And I just don't think it can be done. For years, I believed everything depended on me. If I wanted a better life, then I had to force it. I had to control every little outcome, every little detail of my entire life. I was the one that had to figure it all out. And eventually, that pressure became exhausting beyond belief. I felt like the weight of my entire future, of my entire life, rested on just my shoulders. And I didn't know what I was supposed to do with my life. And that not knowing constantly led me to asking questions. I moved places, moved countries, changed jobs, started over. I convinced myself that maybe a new environment, maybe a new job, maybe new people, maybe a new location will finally make me feel different. Maybe that is gonna be the missing piece that I've been missing all along. And once I finally get that, everything will come together and life will just be amazing and peaceful from here on out. But wherever I went, I took myself with me. So whenever life inevitably got heavy, as it always does, no matter what direction we go down in life, I tried to escape it through binge drinking alcohol, through lust, through comfort, laziness, anything that could distract me from sitting alone, from trying to actually understand what this emptiness was. I would try and escape it. And as we know, this works for a little bit. You get the pleasure, you get the dopamine, and it makes you think, okay, maybe I just need to do a bit more of these things. But that can lead you down a very dark road. And that emptiness, that void, once that dopamine trip is over, it just comes back tenfold. I tried motivation, I tried productivity, I tried discipline, I tried all the self-improvement, self-help stuff. And don't get me wrong, some of that stuff is definitely required. Some of it is necessary, for sure. But if you're relying on motivation, that can last for a week or so. And then it eventually, inevitably fades away. At least it did for me. And I found myself becoming that same person again, trying to escape, running toward pleasure to try and fill this emptiness, to try and fill this void inside of me. What I was doing was trying to change my behavior without trying to change the foundation that I was actually standing on. And here's the thing, right? One thing that I've actually always been, and people that are around me would tell you the same, is that I've always been a spiritual person. Even before I called myself a believer in Christ, I always just had this kind of inner knowing that there was something more to what we can actually see with our own human eyes. I believed that there had to be a higher purpose, a higher intelligence, a higher force that was guiding this human realm. Something that was trying to guide me. I could kind of feel it, but I didn't know what it was, I didn't know who it was, and I didn't know how to utilize it in my life. And finding this was not just one dramatic moment or event. It wasn't a lightning bolt from the sky. It wasn't just waking up one day and being magically transformed. It was anything but that, to be honest. It was years of searching. It was years of questioning. It was years of hardships, losses, trials and tribulations, mistakes, pains, loss. Years of meeting new people that kind of slowly put me on the path towards where I am now. Conversations, unexpected opportunities, closed doors too. And looking back now, I can see that God was patiently leading me before I could finally recognize him, before I could finally turn to him. It was like he was kind of saying, I'm gonna let you just make a ton of these mistakes on your own and think that you've got to figure all of this out by yourself till you realize that you can't do it by yourself and that you need to turn to something. And that something led me to Christ, to Jesus. And here's what changed, right? Because I don't want this video to come across as I just turned to Jesus Christ and everything in my life became amazing at once. As I said earlier, this is far from the truth. Jesus didn't suddenly make my life become easy. He didn't suddenly remove temptation from my life. There are still days where my flesh wants comfort. Still moments where part of me wants to just grab that alcohol and just go on that binge again. Part of me that always wants to be lazy. There will always be part of us that wants to chase temporary pleasure instead of long-lasting purpose. These things haven't disappeared and they won't ever disappear. But now they no longer get the final say. Because finally now I have something bigger than my desires. I have something bigger than my impulses. I have a focus, a center point of my life now. So every decision I make, every word I speak, every action I take, I can ask myself, does this bring me closer to the man that God is calling me to become? And that question changed my life. Another thing that I realized is that most people, and this was me as well a few years ago, just try to change their behavior. But God changes identity, and behavior will follow identity. I didn't stop binge drinking because I suddenly just one day became more disciplined. I stopped binge drinking because I stopped seeing myself as the man who needed alcohol to escape life. And I didn't do that alone. I couldn't do that alone. I needed Christ as the center point for that change. My identity changed first and my habits followed after that. And here's something else that changed as well. Discipline, for probably the first time in my entire life, stopped feeling like punishment and instead became an act of gratitude. Because when I truly understood what Christ had done for me, that he willingly sacrificed himself for my sins, I couldn't keep asking myself, what's the easiest way out of this? What's the easiest thing to do? How can I be more comfortable? I couldn't keep asking those questions. I couldn't keep doing those things. And instead I started asking, how can I honor that sacrifice that he made with the life that I've been blessed with? Because I don't know if I can ever earn salvation. I don't know. But what I do know is that that love that he has for us changes your motivation behind everything. A few years ago, I never imagined that I would run a marathon in 4 hours and 30 minutes. I never imagined that I would sign up to a boxing fight out of the blue, train insanely hard for 8 weeks and win it. I never imagined that I would build this YouTube channel to help people. I never imagined that I would move across to Thailand and set up a new life here, and not one that I'm just trying to escape from, but one that I'm purposely building to become the best version of me. None of these things happened overnight. None of these things happened because I suddenly woke up and was superhuman because I believed in Christ. These things slowly happened in my life because slowly, each day, I just decided, or I just tried to become more aligned with the man that I believed God was truly calling me to become. I stopped consuming so much and started creating instead. I stopped running from discomfort and started to just embrace it. And one of the most crucial things that I did, which I believe you need to do as well, is I stopped asking God to just give me the life that I want. Please just give it to me. And instead I asked, can you bless me with the courage, the strength, the wisdom, the knowledge, the things that I need to be able to become the man that is capable of sustaining this success, this life, and growing it as well. And that changed everything. Because if everything did just come to me instantly when I asked for it, then I wouldn't be the man that is capable of sustaining it. God wasn't just changing my circumstances, He was changing me to be able to sustain and to grow these circumstances. So maybe the reason that you keep going back to these habits, maybe the reason that you keep end up in these repetitive looping patterns of life where you make a little bit of progress and then you falter again, isn't because you're just genetically lazy. Maybe it's because, like me, back then, you are trying to carry a weight that is not designed for you to carry alone. I honestly spent years of my life believing that if I could just become motivated enough, if I could just become strong enough, disciplined enough, that I'd finally become the man that I wanted to be, that I'd finally live out that life that I hold inside of me that I really want to achieve, and everything will just fall into place. And I was wrong. The greatest change in my life didn't happen when I became stronger. It happened when I finally surrendered, when I realized that I can't do this alone. So looking back now, the marathons, the fights, every opportunity, every blessing, every lesson that I've faced, every trial and tribulation, every step that's brought me to where I am today started with one decision. And that was to stop building my life for myself and start building it around Christ. Focus on Him first. And that decision helped me so much. But of course, I'm only human. I'm still imperfect. I always will be. I still fall short. I still have days where I struggle. But today, I now know that I do not walk through these struggles alone. In fact, I never have done, and neither have you. And that made all the difference. Jesus didn't remove my humanity. He gave it direction, and I believe He will do the same for you as well. So that's my story on how Jesus changed my life. I've been meaning to make that video for a while now, so I'm glad that I finally got around to doing it. And I really hope it did actually help you. Even if it just helps one person, then this video has done what it was meant to do. Let me know in the comments below if Jesus Christ has had a similar impact on your life, because I would love to hear that. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.